yes, my contact with Suzuki Roshi and Zen Buddhism was very important to me, and sitting Zazen uh, when I was in my early 20s. And then working with John Bennett uh, on the second basic course at Sherborne in 1972. I was still in my early 20s. And working with the Gurdjieff Foundation for the years that I did go there for movements classes and group work. Very important for me. And that's a kind of a broad, that's without speaking about spiritual technique. That's just beginning to draw an outline. I really wanted to, in response to this first question, broaden the response to say that I believe it has something to do for me, but I think for others as well, with what I could call received wisdom or received wonderment or wonder. Um, and I think art, even a single piece of art that is viewed like a painting, I think contact with nature, um, sometimes something that is totally unexpected, like the sound of a child crossing a playground, as well as all of these techniques that come from the lineages, can quicken something inside us. And it did for me as well. So it wasn't just the spiritual techniques that I was exposed to and tried to absorb. It was also life experiences having to do with the arts or having to do with contact with nature, having to do with surprise or unusual encounters with people on the street or in grocery stores um, that suddenly begin to change my orientation or posture with regard to my normal waking consciousness. And at those moments, something in me, it's as if, well, I know Bennett would call it what he called the emotive state. And these are his words. But it's like a little tension between the intellectual center and the instinctive center. And it's almost as if in one of these moments, we realize that there might be more to life or to my own being than is normally experienced. And suddenly we have interest in exploring these types of topics. And that's why I wanted to say it in this way. I really think, yes, it can come through contact with a teacher. Yes, it can come through the spiritual techniques that one learns. But I think this type of moment of quickening, almost like a pregnancy of being, can occur because an impression lands upon us in a new and a different way. And so received wisdom can be something I read. It can be a poem. It can be a sunset. It can be something a loved one says. It can be the passing or death of someone close to one. And this person, um, responded to those type of situations with a curiosity and a sense of inquiry, um, not knowing where it would lead or what was there to explore. Well, in this context of having spoken about what I was calling received wisdom, um, I think there's the possibility for myself and for others that once something is received in this way, that my personality and the ego inside my personality as well can can feel altered, and there can begin to be a shift of perspective. And what can occur is that what Bennett called second sleep comes about, where suddenly I feel like, yes, I'm on a spiritual path. Yes, something is changing for me. Aha, I have new and different ideas, unlike those of most of the people I know. And yet this can be simply my personality, um, rather than that something has really began to be metabolized and something has begun to shift within my being. Um, Gurdjieff acknowledged this as well and spoke about the development of what he called the deputy steward, just his phrase. Um, and it meant that there was some aspect of my personality that was oriented towards spirituality because of what I was calling before this received wisdom. But to better respond or more fully respond to your question, I think what then becomes the issue is if there's a shift between received wisdom, these learnings, and what I could call revealed wisdom or revealed wonder. And I think that's when a person begins to experience, when I began to experience occasionally, a shift in normal waking consciousness. And it's a different, it feels as if being itself is no longer circumscribed by personality and ego. And again, this can come about because of art, because of contact with someone you love or someone has died. It can come about by, yes, plant medicine. It can come about, yes, specifically and certainly through the Gurdjieff movements, which are a fascinating alchemical stage for the human to be involved with other humans in the middle of this dance with this resonant music, uh, genius, really, to create both received wisdom and the possibility of what I'm now calling the revelation of something different, revealed wisdom. And when revealed wisdom or wonder occurs, now it's no longer in personality or food for the ego. It's an experience that shifts my own perspective with regard to my own personality and my own ego. And so it's as if there's a greater resonance to the impressions in my life, but also a different posture internally, hopefully, when I begin to manifest in the world. I have some realization that it's through my personality and with ego, yes, but no longer only in the service of personality and ego. And so, what is it in service to? And yes, it's easy to say it's in service to the sacred, but I would say for myself, as opening began to occur to occasional revealed wisdom, I don't, I wouldn't say it was necessarily true that I was in touch with, that it was in service to the sacred. I knew it was in service to others, in service to a different type of realization of the beauty and probably sacredness of nature and species, all beings. And then there's that netherland, that type of liminal terrain between what is an enhanced and beautiful experience and where does that then become part of the terrain of what it is that is sacred. Of course, if you're speaking from the perspective of what is sacred, it always has been sacred. It's just that if I'm confined within the parameters of my personality and ego, I'm unaware of that fact. Um, so it's a bit of a quickening that's beyond the quickening of the received wisdom because of the revealed wonder or the revealed wisdom. That for me, I think, is compelling. It compelled me, it impelled me, it propelled me to continue to have a quest and to search. This is a bit beyond, I think, lineage. beyond specific technique, beyond even, no matter how masterful, beyond teachers and teachings. It begins to be an interior experience that then calls one to continue forward or inward or outward. And so, yes, what do they say about the Zen master? You know, it's two different ways of talking about it. It's said before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's also said before enlightenment, the world is as it is. After enlightenment, the world is as it is. Can attempt a response.
Yeah.
In this context of received wisdom or the received wonder, and then revealed wisdom or revealed wonder, the question, I think, becomes in terms of message or the trail of breadcrumbs for others or hope. And I use the word hope specifically because it is one of the latifas that the Sufis speak about, having to do with the finer energies or sacred impulses, that impulse of hope is in service to the possibility of realized wisdom or realized wonder, that no longer is it just revealed occasionally, but that there's a possibility of being able to contain and hold realized wonder, realized wisdom. And so at that point, possibly after Satori or Kinsho, in the Gurdjieff work, it has something to do with the subtle bodies. He called them second and third being bodies, certainly related to the subtle bodies as spoken about in Sufism, and inclusive of that something occurs within us that the Sufis called fana and baka, or deaths and rebirths, that I would want to be able to impart to others, if I were able to speak in terms of legacy, that there is hope. And even if hope means that I have, through revealed wisdom, my own sense of shift of normal waking consciousness, that there is a gap between how I find myself as I am and what it is possible. What is possible for the human being, a human being, then therefore that's possible for me as well. And that gap is the birthplace of hope, which can continue to help us on our own path toward realized wisdom or realized wonderment. And then we are a channel for it. It's no longer an experience only of my own revealed to me, but instead it can be that I am now, back to the first question as well, in service to the sacred and in service to great nature and in service to all sentient beings. And may that be so. May that be so for myself. May that be so for both of you.
Thank
And
you.
may that be so for whoever it is that begins seeking. Beautiful to see you both.
Thank you so much. It was really wonderful.